Ron DeSantis has found himself in another pudding. The Muscatine County Republican Party of Iowa is calling out DeSantis for being the unethical, fraudulent POS that he is. But what made them turn on this GOP hopeful? Let's get into it. Now, the Muscatine GOP is taking up issue with how DeSantis' PAC Never Back Down has been canvassing. Now, from the Messenger, apparently DeSantis has been busing supporters in from out of state, handing them t-shirts and having them attend rallies, speeches, and parades in an effort to convince on the fence voters that he has a groundswell of support in the state. So they wrote a very angry cease and desist letter to Ron DeSantis's campaign. And Raw Story reported on it, saying that he is the first presidential candidate that is going out and buying and paying for representation. He's not building a grassroots organization. And it could very well be that he uses Never Back Down because he can't garner state support from individual residents in Iowa. Therein lies the problem. He is misleading the public of Iowa by sending busloads of people to a parade, and they don't even live in the area. And in fact, most of them don't even live in the state of Iowa. But instead of denying the accusations, inexplicably, the DeSantis camp chose to instead blame Donald Trump. From a statement, Trump can't fill an event. They can't match us in endorsements. They haven't even tried. They can't and won't organize. They're not capturing people at events the way we are. They're not as sophisticated, and frankly, they're not as well staffed as we are. They failed at every operational level. And I think the funniest part of the story at the very least is that the Trump team barely responded. From the Messenger, asked for comment, Trump campaign senior advisor Chris LaCivita gave a one-word reply: nuts. And I think that does, Jay, kind of encapsulate this story.
Yeah, look, it does, and there's a couple of symbolic things in this story. So number one, when if you bring in people from outside the state who are like super energetic, ready to roll up their sleeves and knock on doors for you, and they're wearing t-shirts with your campaign slogan, there's nothing wrong with that. Bernie supporters came in from all across the country, all across the world to help him in Iowa. The difference here is they're paid, and that's super embarrassing. Like, you can't get actual grassroots volunteers. No one's excited about your campaign. So you pay people to pretend to be excited about your campaign. Oof. Oh, that hurts. Oh, that's terrible. Okay. So now a huge silver lining here is that since Trump and DeSantis and all these guys are kind of vicious to begin with, they're also vicious to each other. So they're exposing a lot of their own party's corrupt tactics, right? And so I think the reason DeSantis is blaming Trump for this is probably the local guys who are outing him here are probably Trump fans, are Trump supporters. So that's why they're outing DeSantis. But really, DeSantis is the only Republican paying supporters to wear his t-shirts and pretend they're from Iowa? I bet you that a lot of Republicans have done that in the past, okay? And Trump's talking about how the Koch brothers buy off people with their campaign donations. Yeah, that's true, okay? And see, Democrats never talk about this stuff, even though they should be talking about it 24/7. But they're too busy being civil and actually also servicing their donors. But so now the Republicans got no rules left, so they're shredding each other and telling us all their dirty tricks. Okay, that part I love.
Listen, I'm super excited that Trump's upset with the Koch brothers who are gonna spend $70 million for a candidate against him, any candidate against him in the primary. I'm super excited that DeSantis don't know how to argue, and when someone blames him for something, instead of answer that, he think he could just blame another candidate. I'm loving all of this. Listen, I am a political nut, and the response from his campaign was nutty. So I can't wait to see. I cannot wait to see the response when Trump gets a hold of this on Truth Social, because I know what's truly going to happen. What's truly going to happen is this is going to be the entire story from now through the end of the election. Trump's going to say nobody in Iowa is supporting DeSantis. He's shipping people in. He's bussing people in like he's bussing migrants. And Trump, knowing Trump, he may say these people were illegal. These are illegals he's sending to Iowa. because he don't want him in Florida. Watch this story. This is gonna be my soap opera of the year.
All right, one last thing about this. I love that response from the DeSantis team because it shows how clueless they are. They're like, we're a sophisticated operation. We fill our events unlike Trump. Well, first of all, you're filling them with paid guys, so that's not really something to brag about. And second of all, sophisticated and well, we've got operational competence. Who cares, dude? You sound like Jeb Bush. You know how I know Trump is kicking your ass, whether you're, regardless of your operational skill, he has a 27-point lead. The proof's in the pudding.
I mean, and not to mention, like if you're bragging about your operation skills that you just use to pay people, you're kind of saying you don't have operational skills. Trump's not paying a soul. Trump told a restaurant full of Trump supporters after he was indicted for felony charges that he was gonna buy everybody food and ran out on the bill and still raised money. Trump is the master grifter. Like Trump's not paying for anything, let alone people to show up somewhere. So if in matter of fact, for Trump, if you don't show up, he'll just cancel the event and blame it on the weather, even though it's not the weather's fault. DeSantis, on the other hand, has bumbled since he's announced that he's running for presidency. This has been the greatest stumble. If people are telling the truth about how much money this man had at his spend, and he has done nothing except for trip. In Missouri, he forgot his name. In California, the man he does not know how to campaign. And if people are telling the truth, it reminds us how he became governor of Florida when he was running against DeSantis. Not DeSantis, Andrew Gillum. He was not supposed to be Gillum. Gillum, though, turned in the general election his field team over to the Democratic Party, a field team that had just smoked all the Democratic candidates in the primary, even though Florida establishment wasn't giving him money or supporting him.
Actually, I do want to do a small correction here. As Mondale was talking, it did trigger for me one quick thing. So Trump, he's right, runs out on all the bills. But actually there was one time that he did pay supporters. The infamous escalator announcement, when he first announced in 2015 that he was gonna run for president, he had put an ad in the papers saying that he'd pay actors $50 to pretend to be Trump supporters. Now later he would have actual tons of Trump supporters, but at that moment, when he first started, he pulled a DeSantis and paid people to pretend to like him. So trust me, they're equally embarrassing. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.